Before I get into the video, I just wanted to point out I tried to make this video as short as possible, but it was quite difficult because there was a lot of information that I found in regards to the dairy farming. So what I've done is I've put 2 chapters, and if you are brand new to FS22, brand new to the farming game itself, and you want to learn the basics or the beginner's guide to how to look after your cows, the first chapter is for you, and also then you can skip on to the more detailed bit on the second chapter. However, if you're here and you already know the basics, go straight to the second chapter, and that's got all the data in it, all the information, and it's pretty useful stuff. Hello and welcome back to Farming Simulator 22 on my test map on Elm Creek. Right, so in this video what I'm going to be doing is talking about dairy farming. Now I have a big passion and a massive interest for dairy farming, and every time I was playing an FS19 map, majority of the time I'd have a dairy farm going. So for me, it is the best part of the game, and it's a big part of the game. Being a dairy farmer, you can just do so much. You can obviously mix your own feed and sell milk and everything like that, and look after your livestock. So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is telling you everything you need to know about dairy farming, about the cows, the 2 types of breed that you can use for dairy farming, how to set it up, how to look after them the proper way, how to maximise what they're going to give to you, every single thing from A to B. And I've even gone really in depth, and I've got some really useful information about the breed types, when they'll start breeding, when they'll start producing milk. I've got all that data for you. I've even got the prices as they grow, when they maximise, when they start to dip in price. I'm even going to share the information about the feed, so if you give them TMR, what kind of production values you're going to have with that, with the milk production, or if you feed them hay or grass. I'm going to tell you absolutely everything you're going to want to know about dairy farming in FS22. So if you want to find out all that information, stay tuned. Like I said, first I'm going to just show you the basics. For anyone that starts off right now on FS22, never done farming before, never picked up the game before, wants to try and figure out how to start getting some cows, producing milk, and so on. So the first thing we're going to do is we need a place to store the cows. So this is a cow barn. Now, I've placed this down prior to obviously setting up this video. I've also got a lot more going on down there, but that's for my test. They're all prepped, ready to go for my test that I'm going to track, which is going to determine all the data that I need by the end of this video. So ignore them down there. We're just going to talk about this one here. So first things first, you're obviously going to need to place this down. Now you go to the bottom on your menu for buying equipment, buying tools, anything like that. Right at the bottom there's others, and you can go to construction. So you want to click construction, and then you've got your buildings here. If you go to animals, you've got cows. Now I've got a mod right there, it's an open cow pasture. I will talk about that eventually because I've got a really good use for that, and how you can actually be really clever when it comes to breeding your cows and maximising them. But we'll get to that bit. Completely ignore that right now because you're not going to have that unless you've got the mod. So these are the cow barns. They're obviously, they go up in price from left to right. 254,000 holds 45 cows, and it also tells you what you need to feed it. Now, you basically just click it, place it down. I've got Place Anywhere mod, so normally you couldn't put it through another building. You want to place it down on a flat surface, and when you've done that, you'll have your cow barn. But also what you need to do, the one more thing you need to buy is this manure heap extension, it's called. Now there is 2 types. There's one in silos, which is this one. It says manure heap. You don't want to place that one. You need to place the silo extension, which is this one here. Place it down in a close proximity to where this cow barn is, and by doing that you'll start producing manure if you're giving the cows straw bedding, but we'll get to that in a second. So make sure these are the 2 items you've got down, and when you've done that you're pretty much set to go. Obviously you're going to need some equipment, but we'll talk to it about equipment now, and how to look after your animals by using that equipment. So the next thing you need to do is obviously bring some cows into the shed. There's 2 ways of doing that. There's going up to this icon here. There's like a paw print. That'll bring your cows in. You can buy them and they get delivered. It obviously costs some money. It's a small charge. Now you can also go pick them up from the animal dealership. By doing that, you obviously don't charge the fee. You still have to purchase them, but you can bring them back down. You don't have to do that. Now on Elm Creek itself, it is up this top left corner, sorry, which is that icon there. Now if you're on a different map when you're watching this, remember you're looking for that icon there. You go to there, say you want to buy some cows, it'll pop up the same menu. You'll need an animal trailer for that, so you'll drag it around on your tractor. If you go to Tools, Animal Transport, these are your different animal trailers. Each one tells you how many it can hold. We're talking about cows, so we can hold 6 in that. That's for horses. That's obviously a big one. There isn't much option, to be honest. I've got some mods that have given me a couple of options for cattle. But like I said, that's the way if you want to bring it without any penalty or extra charge. But let's try and speed through this because there is so much information I want to provide in this video, and I definitely don't want it to be too long. So let's just say we're not going to do that. We're going to just buy them here. Now, there is 2 types of breeds for milkers, which is the Brown Swiss and the Holstein. That's what I'm going to be focusing on in this video. We're going to ignore these 2 breeds over here because they are for beef cattle. So if you're breeding for meat, we're just going to ignore them. That's completely irrelevant, a different video than what we're doing right now. Now, Holstein you've probably seen in the traditional black and white cow. Brown Swiss are a bit rare from where I am. We do have a couple, but not many. So these are the 2 breeds. They pretty much do the same thing. They're going to produce milk, but just it's your preference. We'll get into the details of how they perform later on, like I said. But what you need to keep aware is if you buy them here, there's 3 different types of Brown Swiss. There's this, which is a newborn, so it ages at 0 months and it reproduces in 10 months. This one's 12 months, so you obviously pay more for it, and then this one's 18 months. Now, we'll get into detail again, like I said, on what happens at different ages, so bear with me on that one. But if you want to buy them, you're obviously speeding up the process. You don't have to wait for them. You obviously do have to invest more money into them, though, so keep that in mind. Holstein, again, the exact same price, but they do the same thing. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just buy a range. There we go. So now we've got 8 cows, which is what it's telling us here, out of 45. Plenty of room left for these cows, and if you see, they'll be roaming around somewhere, different type of breeds. Brown Swiss just got up, but there you go. So they're in the area, they're in the little tiny pasture on the side. So what you do next, you go into the menu, you'll see this tab here for animals. It'll show you different cow barns. This one here is obviously the one that's got the animals in that we're looking at. Now, you always start off with 0 health, don't worry about that. When you start feeding them, your different types of feed, it will go up, and this bit is telling you how long it's going to reproduce the next calf, but you obviously can't reproduce until it's a certain age. Holstein, again, it's exactly the same. It's showing you productivity, 100% for these. Milk, straw, slurry, TMR, hay and grass. These are your food types. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to food types, that total mixed ration gives 100% effectiveness, so 100% productivity. And then hay's only going to give 80%, which is still pretty good, but grass really does drop down to 40%. So really what you want to be doing is making TMR, so total mixed ration, to give the cows the best alive and also make the most milk. That's the main thing. The reason you're going to have dairy cattle is to make money from the milk. That's the aim, but also now with the production features, which I will be getting into as well, with the cheese and also the butter. So that's pretty much where you're going to look at everything. You've got to keep in mind, and you don't need to give them water anymore. Like FS19, you have to give them water. You don't have to worry about that. It's already implemented into the cow barn. And also, they don't make a mess anymore, so you don't have to clean them up. So the main things you got to look out for, or tend to keep doing it each day, is feeding them, and then also providing them bedding. So what I'm going to just quickly do before I get into all the details is I'm going to show you how to mix some TMR. I'm going to show you dropping some straw because it's simple enough. I'm not going to do anything else. At the end of the day, manure will drop here. You'll scoop it up with a telehandler, anything you want to. Put it in your manure spreader. You can then put it on the ground as a way of fertilizing. So it kind of is a byproduct that saves you money because you don't have to buy any liquid or solid fertilizer. And then the same with the slurry, which is over here. The slurry will drop out here. You just bring a slurry tanker, activate, and you can fill up your slurry. So that's the basics of it, because at the end of the day, it isn't difficult at all. It really isn't. But if you're new to the game, this is why I'm showing you, so you can watch this video from start to finish, and then hopefully have got all the details you need. Now, they've already got straw. What you're going to do is drive in with a trailer that's got straw in. You could even have a straw blower, which is going to blow out bales of straw. You can't bring bales, solid bales, into here. They won't break down. Some maps that I've played on FS19 did do that, but unfortunately you need loose product for this. So as you can see, it says start overloading. We're going to just quickly do that, and the straw will come out. Now, This is a brand new shed. What you notice is this area here wouldn't have that straw texture. Same for these pens where the cows are sleeping on the beds, and also this one here as well. So that's happening because we're putting straw in, so that's where the bedding goes. That texture will appear as you're adding straw. So the same thing will apply when it comes to feed. Now, one thing I will point out that's really cool is sometimes when I've been putting feed down, it obviously brings this texture here. If there's a cow roaming around here, all of a sudden it'll just start walking, put its head through and start feeding, which I do like, because I never saw that in FS19. Right, so now we're going to make some TMR. Now, we need a feed mixer for this. Feed mixers, I've got a Silo King right now, feed mixer. You can see in the Tools tab, Animals, you've got your straw blowers and your feed mixer. That's a feed mixer as well. Where's the straw blower? There you go, there's 2 straw blowers there. One's a mod, but that one's included. So any of these 3 here are feed mixers, so this is going to let you make some TMR. So what you need to do is you need to put some hay in, you need to put some silage in, grass silage, you also need to put some straw in. Then there's also a mineral additive, which is basically a mineral concentrate nutritional form it's like granules. And basically we're going to put that in as well, but that's a really low percentage, so you're just going to get a pallet of that and that'll be fine. So what I'd suggest doing is, depending on your bale size, like I've bought these bales, but always put one at a time. This is like an 8,000 litre bale. It's quite big. So if you bring up the F1 menu when you're in your feed mixer, what you'll notice is it gives you the mixing ratios there. So as it shows you there, the majority of it is silage, majority of it's hay, and then you want a bit of straw and a tiny amount of mineral additive. So the best way to do this would be loose products as a bucket, but a lot of people are doing bales. I'm going to be doing bales. I find it a little bit easier doing bales. You can just stick a bale in. And a good thing as well now, when you're making silage, it does ferment like it would in seasonings, but then you can unwrap the bale. So I've taken the wrapping off that, and you can see it's now a bale of silage. And let's say I was picking this up, which I am doing like with super strength, but if let's say I was picking it up with the forks on that, you drop it in, it'd start, as you can see, going down, and then it doesn't instantly just disappear anymore. It just gradually, or quite quickly to be honest, goes into the volume of the feed mixer. So we're about alright there. We've put 72% in. Like I said, it really doesn't matter as long as you're in that bracket. You might have more hay than silage, so you want to put a lot more in. So this time I've kind of tried to maximise the hay there. Hasn't put straw in though. That's going to drop down. But we've got plenty of room for the hay. It's the silage we need to keep a track of, because that's only at 27% and it's close to that first arrow that's pointing where it should be within. So what I'll do now is put a tiny bit of straw in. And it is difficult if you've got like this, which is a 9,000 litre bale. If I leave this in here, it's not going to give me any room to put in the mineral additive. So as you can see, you can just hold over it. So if you were here with your fork and you put it over like that, as you can see, it's going down. So remember that. You don't have to just drop it in now. It will just instantly go into the volume. And by doing that, it just means you can be a bit more accurate. Now, I'm only at 58%, so I could have probably put that whole silage bale in. In fact, we'll do that. We'll put the whole silage bale in. And I might even then just drop the straw bale in a little bit longer. I think that should be alright. We don't need too much. And as you can see, we're now at like 70%. Everything's within line. The silage probably needs a little bit more. In fact, we could probably drop a silage bale in. It's only 3,500 litres, like I said, because it's heavier. There we go. So let's just drop that in, let it go up. Hopefully we'll still make this. We should do. So now what I'm going to just do is go up to the pallet. What it'll do is it'll come up with a refill mixer wagon, as you can see in the F1 menu there. You can do that, and it'll add it in, and you can tell it to stop. You can see the bags disappearing. You just want to make sure that we don't put too much in that it goes out of that line, but I don't think it will. We really do need to add quite a lot. But this is enough for us to do a mix. It's at 1.2%. I'll take that last bag there, and there we go. I've stopped it. Right, so that's enough for me. You can see that everything is in the spec that it should be. So what I'm going to do now is just going to drive through. I've turned the mixer on. You don't have to turn the mixer on, but I have. I'm just going to quickly drive through and show you what it'll do. It'll say start overloading total mix ration, which is what we're going to do. And it is going out that side, but it still works. You can change the tip on the mixer wagons, but as you can see, it's now finished. So we can just jump out. Look at this cow running in. See, so they do jump, they do try and run in when you're in the mixer wagon, which is pretty cool. That is cool. It'd be good if they actually all just figured out where they were going. Seems like this cow's figured it out. There you go. So obviously they do like feeding. But yeah, that's the basic gist of it. We've fed our cows, we've looked after them. Over time, they'll start producing milk. TMR is the best thing to give them, like I've just shown you, and how to mix it. So all you got to do is just keep looking after your cows. Eventually, they'll pay off. You'll get milk. Milk comes out of this trigger at this point here. You can see it. It's like a tank where they stores the milk, holding tank. You can come up to it with the tankers that you can buy. You can either go sell it like that, or you can take it to the dairy and get some kind of production feature, either butter or cheese. So yeah, that's the basic understanding of how to start off with some dairy cows, what to do, how to look after them. Like I said, it is pretty simple now, but the next bit's the bit that's interesting. So what I'll do now is I'm going to go and do all my testing to find out all the information that I need. I'll cut back in when I've got it all, and I'll show you, and we can go through it one by one, all the details, and hopefully it'll answer a lot of questions and also provide some useful information. Right, so welcome back. It's been probably about 4 hours in real life that I've been trying to gather all this information. I have to say, I've found some really interesting stuff, something that definitely has surprised me, but not just that, I've found some really useful information if you want to take dairy farming to the next level and try and optimize it and be as profitable as possible. But what I want to first do is I'm going to bring up three files that I've got, three screenshots from an Excel document that I've created just to gather all this data into one place and present it the best way I can. So again, these will be in my Discord. If you also want to screenshot them as the video is playing, feel free. Hopefully you'll find it useful, and yeah, can use it in your own save game. So on the screen right now, I'm showing all the data that I collected from a period of 36 months. I actually went up to 48 months looking at the price of the animals. So let's break it down the best way we can. So obviously these are the dairy cows. There's two types of breed. There's the Brown Swiss Holstein. So the way I went about it is I got 6 cow barns. Each one had 1 cow in. So this is all based on 1 cow. So I had a Brown Swiss in one that was fed TMR and only TMR. And then the next one, it had hay and grass. So that was 3 with Brown Swiss. Then I went 3 for Holstein, TMR in one, hay in another, and grass. Initial price was £200 for each one of these animals. So as I bought it as a newborn, it was £200. Let's talk about the prices then first. So after 12 months, you can see that it increased. If it was being fed TMR and hay, it increased to $825. The grass didn't really increase that much, so it's obviously not beneficial straight away, but we'll get more into that because it really isn't beneficial, trust me. Don't be feeding your cows grass at the moment. I don't know if there's a bug within Farming Simulator 22, but it's pretty much pointless. And as you can see as well, the Holsteins and the Brown Swiss was completely same pretty much all the way through the board on this test. There was no difference when it comes to the difference in profit or difference in product that's being produced by the cows. They are exactly a carbon copy. If anything, it's just visual. If you want a Holstein looking cow or you want a Brown Swiss looking cow. So after 18 months, you can see the price increased again. All of them increased. 1,162 was the peak that we saw. And again, at 24 months, it peaked out. So 1,500 is the maximum it can go to for each cow, and 600 for a cow that's just fed grass. As you can see as well, 36 months, nothing changed, the same pricing. However, after 36 months, up to 48 months, it started decreasing. Now, I have come up with an idea that for me would be the way that I would farm, and I'm going to farm whilst doing dairy farming. And I'll talk about that in a second, but it is to do with the pricing of the cows and also how to add some more money to your bank account, not only from the byproduct of milk. So a bit of data there from when it started producing milk, 12 months. Now this is where the bug comes in. A cow that was fed grass didn't produce any milk, it didn't start breeding, and it didn't obviously give me a calf. Also, the productivity tab in the menu for the animals, for the cows, it stayed at 0 the whole time, even though the food was being consumed. So the grass was being consumed and it was producing manure and it was producing slurry. It just wasn't registered at all in the game. It seemed like I didn't get any. It stayed at health of 0%, and the productivity didn't rise at all. And that's why I didn't get any milk, and I also didn't get any. The cows didn't start breeding at all. So seems like I said, if you feed them grass, nothing's going to happen. But you can see there that gives you a good indication that the first 12 months you're not pretty much going to be doing anything, just feeding your cows. You can obviously increase the price of the cow as it's growing older by feeding it at least hay. So let's talk about the food then. All the food was the same throughout the board. Consumed by TMR hay and grass is identical. So in the first 12 months they consumed 1,695 litres per cow. Straw bedding was 453 litres per cow. However, as they got older and bigger and obviously required more feed from month 13 to 24, you can see that it jumped up to 3,877 litres, again all through the board on the 3 feed types. And also the straw bedding increased to 1,052 for that period. So you can see as they're getting bigger, they're obviously needing more. But the good thing about it, from month 12 onwards, you're pretty much going to be producing milk anyway, so you're getting a byproduct. Me personally, I would start giving TMR at that point, from 12 months onwards at least, maybe a month before, just to get that buff on milk straight away. So after 24 months and onwards, they consumed even more feed. Really are getting to the prime now of their age. 4,200 litres all across the board, and they increased the usage in straw for bedding. So let's have a look at these numbers then. So this is the main number I'm talking about, which is the milk produced from. I went from obviously after the 12th month because they're not producing any. So you can see that the Holstein TMR and the Brown Swiss TMR produced the same, which was 1,800 litres, so 1,800 litres per cow of milk. And it was the exact same from month 25 to 36. So it seems like that won't change. As soon as it starts milking, it's going to give you the same amount dependent on what you're feeding it. You can see that it does decrease though with hay. So at least that's working. 1,440 if just fed hay. Grass though, again, like I said, completely 0. Didn't get anything. So I did approach a friend of the channel that I know wouldn't mind doing this for me just to confirm that I got this correct. And he got the exact same thing. If he fed his cows grass, didn't see anything. And another thing I want to point out, which is a bit of a weird one. So if you buy 50 cows at newborn, £200 a piece, put them into a pen, completely feed them nothing, don't even put any feed in, nothing, they'll never die, but they'll grow in price. So the value of the cow will grow up to £600 after 36 months, and you could sell them and generate some income. But the cow doesn't die, it's not being fed at all. Yeah, that is a strange one, because you can make money from having cows that you don't feed and they don't give you anything. The best price of milk that I witnessed over a 12-month period, the first 12 months I took note of the price of milk. It fluctuated, but the best price I saw was £1,597 on medium difficulty. So that's the amount there that I'm taking into account. Now, obviously, it could be different for you. So this is why I'm going to call it the potential income from the milk. So I've calculated there that each cow from month 13 to 24 was going to give me the best with the TMR was £2,875 from milk alone if I was selling it. It does drop down to 2,300 with hay for that 12-month period, but then after as well it's exactly the same from month 25 to 36. So it's not bad, that isn't. 2,875 is where you're looking for. Again, that just shows that TMR is the way to go because it gives you more milk. But not only does it just give you more milk, it gives you more slurry. So as you can see, the slurry does grow over time as well. It's not like the milk. Now, I didn't take note of the slurry for the first 12 months. I probably should have done that, to be honest. But at the time when I thought about it, I was already 12 months in. So keep that in mind. But again, it will be lower down because they're obviously eating less and they're obviously going to be pumping out less slurry. Same with manure. But we'll get to that because I did have a problem with manure. So you can see that I got 2,781 litres of slurry per cow for that 12-month period, and that was with the TMR. So the more feed, the better the feed, the more slurry they're going to give you. It did drop down to hay to 2,225, and again it dropped down really low just to grass. But to be honest, with grass, it was the only thing they were producing, that and manure. So you can see as well, when it went over 24 months, it was producing even more slurry, because obviously it was taking in more feed, which kind of like correlates with each other. So you can see the numbers there. So if you want to add this up, you can. I have added it up in a minute. I'm going to give you an example of what would happen if you had 50 cows, but you can work this out yourself. This is per cow. So if you've got 25 brown swifts and you're feeding them hay, you can from that calculate how much slurry you should be generating a year, depending on their age, obviously. Now, manure, I did have an issue. So what I did on the map was I put my 6 pens down, and then I put 6 of the extensions for the manure. The problem was there wasn't enough gap in between, so some was having like double, some was having single, there was completely no manure in, so I just didn't trust it. However, the top one, the TMR, I did test out separately because I didn't want to go through it all again, and I hope you can understand that it did take me quite a while, so I just thought I'd document the TMR cows. So I did it with the brown Swiss, I did it with a Holstein, and you can see that from the 13-month period I got 2,020 litres of manure, and then I got 3,313 litres of manure produced after month 24. So again, you're probably going to feed it TMR, let's be honest, and if you do, you can calculate from that how much manure you're going to get. Now, you can work out from the prices you see on your map how much you could get if you wanted to take that to the biogas plant, or if you were going to use a fertiliser. It depends entirely what you're doing with it, but it is a byproduct that will generate some money if you wanted to go down that route. So them numbers were really interesting. Like I said, the grass, completely irrelevant. Don't feed them grass. It's not going to do anything for you. They're just going to be there for show, basically, unless you want to generate some manure and some slurry, but there's probably better ways to go about that. So the next one, what I did was I was trying to give you an example of what it'd be like if you had 50 cows. I picked 50 because it's an even, it's a nice number. I mean, some of the pens are 45, but you can work it out from the single figures that I give you if you needed to. You might have a different volume of cows anyway. But I thought I'd show you if you had 50 cows. Let's start with the brown Swiss. They were fed TMR from month 0, so when we bought them, to the 36-month period before they started dropping in price. They're going to consume 498,000 litres of TMR. That's a lot. It really is a lot, but you could make that up in that period quite easy with the yield of grass being so high. Straw, they used 132,000 litres. It's quite a lot again. But the milk output, 180,000 litres. Really good. Slurry output, 291,000 litres again. That's really good. But it just shows you now with this bit. So the income that you're going to get, this is income. This is not taking in. This is not factoring in any cost. So it isn't profit. It's just potential income if you get the same price as what I found. So it's £287,000, which from 50 cows is really good. On FS19, sometimes I was having about 200 cows. So if you look, that's over £1 million in the lifetime of that cow. Well, even though they can go longer and they will keep producing the same amount of milk, the problem is they do decrease in value. So the reason I put at the bottom there of each one, the profit if you're selling all 50 cows at 36 months, is because I'm going to give you a tip that I think is a really good way to do this and kind of rotate your cows. So say you start off with 50 cows and you bought them for £200 a piece at newborn 0-month-old. After 12 months, they're going to start producing milk. After 18 months, they're going to start reproducing, and then at 27 months, they're going to pop out their first cow, their first calf. So you're then going to get instantly 50 more cows if you've bought 50 at the same time. What I would do is move them 50 cows into a holding pen, so you could have the open pasture mod that I showed you. You could put 50 newborn calves in there, feed them just hay, while these are still producing your milk in your main cow barn. When it gets to the point that your main cows, your main milkers, are going to start decreasing in value, the cows that you've just put to one side are going to be about 9 months old, and in 3 months' time they're going to start producing milk. You could sell your original 50 for a profit of 65,000. Move the cows that you put into that open pasture into your main barn, and keep repeating this process. And it not only gives you the £287,000 of milk, income from milk, it's also going to be a £65,000 every time you sell them cows. And it's a nice way of playing the game, because you're going to keep rotating your cows through your pastures, through your barns, and you're going to keep them at a good age. You don't want your cow to get like 56 months, even though I don't think they can actually die in this version of seasons. It's kind of been nerfed. It really has been nerfed out. But it is a good tip. That's the way I'm going to do it, because I can rotate through, can make a lot of money, and I can make even more money by doing that. So Holstein was exactly the same. The only difference we had was when we went to hay. They obviously produced less milk, and they also produced less slurry, but they still consumed the same amount of hay and straw than what the TMR was and the straw. But you can see that the potential income from milk was less. Still the same kind of profit though from selling your cows, so you can rotate through. This is why I'd feed them hay, because the rise in value for each cow is still the same as what it would be for TMR. Then you're going to move them into your main milking barn and then get your maximum slurry, maximum milk from feeding them TMR. It's always a good option to do anyway. It's a good option to have, and I do like that. So lastly, what I'm going to just do now is talk about the production features. So what I did was I took an example of the 50 TMR Holsteins. So this is the maximum I could get from milk. And I just thought what we could do with the production features from milk alone. Now you can use milk and chocolate as well, but I've missed that one out because we do need another product. We're relying on something else there, which is sugar. The two products you can make from milk alone are cheese and butter. The best price I witnessed for cheese was £4,277, and the best price for butter was £2,097. The milk that I got from the 50 TMRs would have been 180,000 litres. Now I worked out the percentage decrease from one product to another. So basically what that means is milk, if I've got 180,000 litres and want to turn it into cheese, the volume of the cheese will be 33.33% less than the original volume of milk, which is 120,000. So if I take all that 180,000 litres of milk to the dairy, get it processed into cheese, it'll give me 120,000 litres of cheese. The same for the milk on the butter, but the difference is obviously you've got a lower price of butter, and that's why you can see that the decrease is less. It's only 13%, so 13.33% decrease from the original volume to what the new volume will be. Hopefully that makes sense. I've tried to keep it simple. I did want to work out the decrease percentage because it's easier to do that than actually sit there and process the whole thing, but I guarantee you from what it takes, that's the amount that it's going to decrease. So I then worked out from the best price that I witnessed over a 12-month period of cheese and butter, how much value I'd have in that milk. So cheese, as you can see, quite profitable. It's going to give you less, it's going to produce less volume, so you only get 120,000 litres from 180,000 litres of milk, but you still get a massive increase in money. £513,000 I would make from that milk if I turned it into cheese. That's really good. That's $500,000, and that's just from 50 cows. So you could double your money, in effect, if it was made into cheese. Now, I haven't taken into account the cost of the production, everything like that. I haven't taken any of that into account, so you'd have to work out the profit. That's just the value it would give you at the end. And the same with the butter. So you'd get £327,000 if you were selling 156,000 litres of butter from the 180,000 litres of milk. Right, so there we go. That's all the data I collected on dairy farming. Hopefully it's helped you out. I've just got over here what it looks like when you turn it into butter. This is the unsalted butter. This is 1,000 litre. It always spawns out in 1,000 litres. So it's 1,000 litres of butter, and then we've got 1,000 litres of cheese. So if you do want to go that route, go for cheese. It seems like it's really productive. Kind of doubles your money nearly, so it makes sense. But obviously if you still want to do a bit of milk and just sell it, because it is easy just to sell milk, you don't have to worry about processing it at all. But again, really interesting to see the production value of things added into the game, and it seems like it definitely pays off. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video, hopefully you found it informative. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, it really does help me out. And if you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this one on Farming Simulator.